Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. How can I reliably determine the prayer times? Somewhat related question. How can I reliably determine the prayer times? The most reliable way of determining the prayer times is the manner that is described in our books of fiqh. And that would be the observation of the natural phenomenon within the sky. So to see the twilight, to see the true dawn, to witness the position of the sun in the sky when the shadows of objects are the same as the object, what is the shadow at the time of zenith, and so on and so forth. These are the descriptions given to us in the books of fiqh, and I would advise you to register for one of our fiqh classes for the Shafi'i school, namely for the more beginners, the Safinatun Najah, Ship of Salvation, Imam al-Hadrami's text, and for the more advanced students, Reliance of the Traveler or Umdatul Salik by Ahmad ibn Lu'lu' ibn Naqib al-Misri rahimahullah ta'ala, both works in the Shafi'i school of thought, renowned textbooks, and it would be of benefit to understand exactly how the awqat, plural of waqt, how the times of the salahs are determined. And the reason I'm starting with this, even though the overwhelming majority of people don't determine their prayer time according to this method, is because we are duty bound by that standard and not by any other standard. We will not be duty bound by estimations, calculations, apps, calendars, predictions, etc. All of these instruments are going to be essentially a guess or an estimation, albeit somewhat accurate and scientific. It remains secondary, right? If there's any discrepancy between what the calendar says or what the app says and the natural phenomenon in the sky, our allegiance is going to be according to what the Quran and Sunnah states, which is the natural phenomenon in the sky. So somebody can challenge the calendar and say, well, the calendar says this, but based on our observations, this is in fact incorrect, and therefore we will follow the natural observations or the observations of natural phenomenon. That said, because of convenience, the overwhelming majority of Muslims worldwide rely on these calendars and calculations and apps and the like. So the safest approach in relation to how to successfully or reliably determine the times of the various prayers is to do an assessment once off. You don't have to do this every time, every day, but perhaps just once a year to check that the calendar or the app or the calculation that you are following is in fact in accordance with what is happening with the natural phenomenon. You don't have to undertake this exercise yourself. It's not like you need to go outside and do these observations. But consult with local scholars. This is key. You have to consult with local scholars about what are the most accurate reflections of the prayer times. Which calendar should we rely on? Which adhan should we consider as being on time? Which calculation is most accurate for our circumstance? And the reason I'm saying local scholars is that every location, right, every geographical location is going to have some unique aspects that needs to be taken into consideration. Some regions are far more mountainous than other regions. Some regions are within a valley, so they are so deep within a valley that they're surrounded by mountains, so the observation of the natural phenomenon is going to be different. Other regions are very northerly or very southerly in terms of the lines of latitude on the globe. And as a result, there's going to be some differences there as well. So the calculations are generally not monolithic across the world. There are going to be various things to take into consideration. And therefore, while relying on a calendar or an app is probably the most convenient within this day and age, still one is duty bound to at least find out which of these apps and which of these calendars are the most reliable according to your local authorities, who in all probability were faced with similar questions and have explored the various options, arriving at what would probably be the best option for the local Muslims there. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله.